Welcome to Freemason Leadership. This is first of many segments I hope to be producing concerning leadership within our fraternity. My name is Greg Smith. I'm from the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of Ohio. And my local lodge is Argus number 545 in Canfield, Ohio. And I bring you warm and fraternal greetings from all in Ohio. First, let's talk a little bit about the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. This is something John Maxwell wrote probably back in the 80s, and he's just recently in the last year updated it and added about 75% new material. I would suggest you pick up the book. You can buy it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere local, or at the local library. It is called the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. First thing I would like to talk about is understanding a formula that's in your notes. And that formula is knowledge plus skills plus talents equals strengths. Words have meaning. And there's a lot of throwing around of strengths and strong and weaknesses. I want to be clear about what strengths really are. Anybody can have knowledge about something. I mean, let's look at somebody like a Michael Jordan. He has great knowledge of the game. He knows the rules of the game, the goals of the game. He has a complete and thorough understanding through experience, through the passion he has for it. But knowledge is very solid with a man like Michael Jordan. Skills. Skill sets, knowing how to shoot, knowing how to dribble, knowing how to fade. All those things come with time and practice. And from the research that's been done, 10,000 hours in any given sport or any given activity makes you an expert. It becomes natural, like breathing. So I would have to say somebody like Michael Jordan could have skills such as that. Then we have talent. Now, talent is something you're born with. And I know I'm going to be bursting some bubbles and people get all upset with this, but the truth of it is some of us just aren't good at certain things, and some of us are absolutely natural at certain things. Personally, my top 5 of talents from being tested through Gallup or learner, which means I love to learn, I love to teach. As you can see, I'm doing this website. Maximizer, which means I always try to make the best out of things, best out of people, best out of situations. I always try to reach and strive for excellence. I mean, it's just natural for me to think that way. Command. I like to be in control. I like to have, I have no problem saying what I feel or what I think. I ask a lot of questions without question marks. And I have to control that one. That can have an ugly head. They all can have an ugly head to them. But that one's got to watch, because the next one I have is self-assurance, which means I'm naturally comfortable with myself. I'm naturally comfortable with how I feel about things. And then the last is focus. Focus to me is I can really zoom in on something, but what's really neat about focus for me is when somebody tells me something, 2-3 years later, I might meet somebody else that says a similar thing, and like electricity, I connect those two people. I used to think it was just networking, but what it is focus. So those are just me, and that's just examples of what my talents are. Now, you group those with skills and knowledge. Now let's go back to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's one of his main talents has to be competition. Has to be. I mean, I don't know for sure, I can't tell you, but my guess and my educated guess is he's a very competitive person. He has to win. And if he doesn't win, he's miserable. When you take knowledge, you take skills, and you put that with a talent of competition, you have a strength. That is how that formula works. Now, maybe his talent was significance, okay? Which is an interesting one. That can have an ugly head to it, which means you have to be important. But maybe he has to have a little bit of significance. And with knowledge and skills and significance, where it's really important you're the best all the time and people see you, can you see how that talent could be used? Now, the behaviors are going to be a little different, but he could still take knowledge and skills and group that with a significance type of talent and still be extremely strong in that area. So let's move on. In these chapters, you're going to see a combination of talents, of skills, of knowledge. What's most important, I believe, in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is that you get a grasp of the knowledge and start to work on skills. Then you need to see who you are as a person. You really need to see, am I good at communicating? Am I good at relationships? Am I good when things change and I can adapt really quickly? Am I good at, do I have a great grasp of history? I mean, who are you? What are your natural talents? How do you naturally think about things? Then you group that with this knowledge and skills to be strong at something within leadership. Now, there are some myths with leadership we really need to discuss before we get going on the laws. The first myth, and the number one myth, is leaders are born, not made. Well, as I say in the notes, I hate to meet an unborn leader. I mean, no one wants to do that. But the truth of it is, all leaders are born. And all leaders have certain abilities from birth. That is absolutely true. Your talents are naturally born and developed in early childhood. I've seen families where I've seen people like an Og Mandino who grew up in the slums and almost put a gun to his head and became one of the greatest authors the world has known, greatest leaders the world has known. I've seen people come and been brought up in homes where you don't have to ask for anything, and they have they're how can I say, they're like a drone in the hive of nature, we could say. Now, with being a leader, you have to understand the value of leadership, and that is that you can learn it. It is a learned behavior. It is the skills and knowledge for leadership can be learned. When you attach those to your talents, you have strengths. Second myth, leadership is a rare skill. Absolutely not true. Every one of us is a leader. We lead ourselves, we lead our families, we lead in the groups we lead places at work. The degree of leadership, or where you're at as far as are you a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, onward and upward. Where is your ability in leadership? What knowledge do you have that's important for leadership to work? Third myth, all leaders are charismatic. Well, my example in the notes might not be the best because there's a lot of behavior associated or feelings associated with George Bush, but the truth of it is, whether you agree or not, he still achieved at least half the votes in America. So half the people elected him to be president of the United States, and he's not a charismatic, he doesn't have charisma. And really neither does his father, and his father was well liked. And he doesn't have much charisma. Somebody like Bill Clinton, he has great charisma, but he also has some moral issues. I mean, we can go back and forth about that, but the truth of it is, and I don't want to get in a political argument here, that's not what this is about. The part I want you to grasp is the fact that leadership and charisma are not connected. Some have it, some don't. The next is the myth that leaders control by manipulation. Well, you know what? Some do. And I don't really call that leadership. I call that manipulative people. And it's really tough in a lodge, in a volunteer organization, to be manipulative. You really don't get the cream of the crop of your people. If you feel that your position, and you're a position leader where I'm the master, or I'm the senior warden, or I'm the junior warden, or I'm the education officer, or whatever you are, and you feel that has power, then in a way that's manipulation. Because in essence, you should be able to lead people without a title. People should follow you without a title. A title is just kind of a way of being responsible, and being responsible for a particular duty within your lodge.